everyone. Welcome to Seller Mobile TV. I have got a very special guest with me here today. I've got Alex, who is the head of business development at Payability, and he's going to share some nuggets with us about kind of just financial technology and sort of what that entails. But before we go there, I just want to take a few minutes to talk about, Seller Mobile. And so many of you guys know that Seller Mobile started off as sellers themselves that got together to create the software to help, other marketplace sellers grow their businesses. And I remember, back in 2010, 2011, when we first started selling on Amazon, we had bootstrapped the whole thing. We had borrowed money from friends and family, used our own savings to start our Amazon business. And cash flow was always an issue. We were always worried about cash flow and where we were going to get sort of, the next, chunk of money to buy inventory so we could scale and grow and grow. And sure, eventually, we got to like the 10 million point, but in revenue. But imagine how much faster and smoother and easier it would have been had a company like Payability existed to help us scale our business, at the speed that we wanted to. So I really want to kind of put that out there before I introduce Alex and have him tell me about kind of the tons of experience he brings to Payability. Alex, earlier you just told me that you've been doing this for 10 years. You've been in the financial sector for 10 years. You have worked with small businesses for a really long time. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. After I left public accounting, I went into startups and FinTech, and I've been in FinTech for a little over 7 years now, mostly focusing on the alternative lending side and really primarily focusing on small businesses and, getting access to capital for small businesses. I've been at Payability for about a year now, and I work in business development and strategic partnerships, connecting different types of online sellers and businesses with ecosystem partners and marketplaces, and making sure that we're able to provide, liquidity to businesses through all the partners we work with.
Right. So that's excellent. You clearly sort of know this field and understand, small businesses and kind of what their needs are and what they're looking for. So tell us about some, financial technology solutions that Amazon sellers can use to help grow their business, to sort of leverage themselves when it comes to lending and getting that cash, so they can scale the way they want to, buy the inventory the way they want to. Because tell us a little bit about that. Sort of start. I know we talked about a few different things. Just start wherever.
Yeah, sure. So there's all sorts of different tools out there. There's tools to manage your current finances and different types of analytical tools. Whether you're looking at inventory levels, whether you're looking at price matching, whether you're looking at, making sure you know the different line items of your costs. And then there's tools to kind of accelerate revenue and grow your business. And so, I think loans as a term, it's kind of like a term that everything gets lumped into. There's actually different types of, financial products that aren't actually loans at all. So I think a lot of people are familiar with Amazon lending, and most people use it to either spend money on inventory or marketing spend. And when you're talking about Amazon in particular, Amazon as a marketplace can drive a ton of demand. So one of the biggest challenges for businesses is often to keep up with that demand in the form of staying in stock. And we've, internally, we've done research. We've done research with other partners, and staying in stock is probably one of the single most important things about being an Amazon business. Whether it's not losing the buy box, whether it's your own seller ranking being affected about how quickly you can get orders to people. And so if we know that inventory is basically what it is to stay in stock, and that is one of the most important parts of being on an Amazon business, how do you purchase that inventory as your orders grow up? How do you make sure that your inventory is in line with your sales? And that's where different types of financing or funding through fintech companies like ours come into play. So Amazon lending, it's an invite only. You're either invited to take a loan or you're not. Similar to Shopify Capital, if anyone also has a Shopify store. Again, PayPal Working Capital is very similar too. It's an invite only program. So they're basically looking at your sales, feeling comfortable about an amount of capital they can provide you, and then they're going to take repayment directly from the sales that you're making. What we do is, there's loan products and then there's advanced products. An advanced product, the difference there being a loan is you taking capital and agreeing to pay somebody back. An advanced product is, similar to what we do with Instant Advance, is we're looking at your projected sales and we're essentially advancing you a month or 2 months of sales to pay off over 6 months. And that money is typically used for marketing and inventory or other revenue producing products. And then there's a question of, well, Amazon is holding my money for, up to 2 weeks. Now we've heard that it can be up to 3 or 4 weeks as shipping times have been delayed because of everything that's going on in the current environment. And a lot of times you're saying, well, if I have to wait twice a month to get paid or even longer, how do I reinvest in my business? And Amazon over 11 years ago, they used to pay everybody every day. And I think it's important to understand why they pay on a delayed term now versus before. So 10, 11 years ago, there were maybe tens of thousands, maybe 100,000 sellers on Amazon versus the millions we have now. Amazon being such a large marketplace, they can't really make a million different rules. So they have to essentially make one broad set of rules that everyone has to play under. And so because you do have scam artists, you do have people who have nefarious intentions, it's kind of like a race to the bottom in that we need a rule that can capture everything. And then it's also important to remember that Amazon's focused on demand, much more so than supply. All third-party sellers are on the supply side, but the A to Z guarantee, all the different rules that Amazon makes is really so that customers make sure they go to Amazon and not competing marketplaces. That way the demand is there. And it's really about creating the experience for them and then forcing, the supply side to kind of conform and fit to make sure that, Amazon is focusing on the demand side. And I'm not trying to talk in a roundabout way, but it's important for everyone to remember that the reason that the 14 days are there is because they want to give enough time for the product to get to the customer to take a look at it, see if they want to return it, and then that might be returned. And they need that window to make sure that they're not paying you and then everything's getting returned and then you actually owe Amazon money. And then maybe if you have, bad intentions, you disappear now Amazon and so on and so on. So one of the products that we do is we basically accelerate that payout term. We take it from net 14 to net 1. That way you can receive money every day and reinvest in your business and scale your business up because, you can basically be able to sell in line with your demand because you'll constantly have access to cash flow because cash flow is the key to, what makes a successful business is having liquidity.
Right. So, what's so great about that is obviously you guys, are not Amazon and you're not, you don't have millions and millions of customers. So it almost sounds like you can come up with, even more sort of customizable solutions for sellers, right? So it almost sounds like because you can work with that small business and figure out what their needs are, and then give them that advance on a daily basis. But also sounds like you guys can come up with sort of more custom solutions for them. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, I think that is accurate, and it would have to make sense on a case by case basis. We do have thousands and thousands of customers too, so we can't have thousands of different instances.
Sure.
But when a customer, we do have live human support,
Wonderful.
Which is, obviously a major difference than Amazon.
Definitely.
And we have between our customer success team and our account executives, we have people who are, on the phones Monday through Friday from 9 to 6 to help with these exact problems. Not every business is the same.
Sure.
Not every Amazon business is the same. So while we can't create, I can't give you a home mortgage as an example because that's way outside the box of what we do. But we do, adjust rates and adjust different funding amounts. And we try to be as flexible as we can once we understand the business. And we do that both electronically because we are a full technology company. And we do that through APIs so we can, look at different risk signals with your store. But we also do that with a human element too. And, if there's something we missed, we want people to, let us know. Let's have a conversation and see, how we can help your individual situation.
Perfect. So, you mentioned with Amazon lending, of course, that's invite only, and you guys said that you don't work the same way. So what is that basic threshold that a seller needs to meet to be able to qualify for a loan of payability?
Yeah. So the threshold would be for an Amazon seller, when it comes to our access product, which is essentially accelerating the payments from, 14 days to 1 day. There we want to see 3 months time in business, but it's kind of a misnomer because it's really 3 months of selling history on Amazon. And sometimes we can make adjustments there if you were selling on a different marketplace and you just switched over to Amazon. So we know you have a selling history. But it's 3 months time. It's 3 months selling history, and then $2,000 in monthly sales over the averaged over the last 3 months or so. And we can be a little easier if the first month when you're just getting started was much lower. And then for the advanced product, we're looking at 9 months selling history and 10,000 in monthly sales. And for Shopify customers, for Amazon sellers who also have Shopify stores, they're the advanced only product. It's it's still we still want to see the 9 months time in business, but we've lowered the amount from $10,000 down to $2,000. Because what we've noticed with Shopify versus Amazon, when we were talking before about how Amazon drives a ton of demand, well, it's when you have your own website, and we're seeing a ton of Amazon sellers starting their own websites, whether it's on Shopify or BigCommerce or Volusion or something similar. What we see there is the need really for financing is to create the demand. They're coming from Amazon where they had demand thrust at them from the marketplace, and now they need to create their own demand to bring them to the website. So we see there that the spend is usually more marketing as opposed to, on a marketplace where it's more inventory based.
Got it. So now what are the fees associated with getting that advance for Amazon sellers?
Sure. So when we're talking about access, which is the daily payments, it can be as low as 0.4% to as high as, usually as 2.5%. Okay. With the 0.4% being more established, larger sellers, and the 2.5% being international sellers selling, who are abroad selling into Amazon.com. Typically, it's right around 2%. And then as you've been a customer with us, we try to bring down that rate over time as our risk goes down. When we're talking about the advanced product, which is the lump sum of capital, there it ranges from 0.5% per week to about 1.5% per week. And you only pay for the weeks that it's out. So let's say you're purchasing inventory and we think it's going to be about a 24-week payment, and it's in at 0.5%. So that'd be 12% flat fee. And then if you paid it off, 6 weeks early, we would discount it that 3% because it would be 0.5% every week. You only have to pay for the 3 weeks it out, so that it would equal 9% flat fee.
That's perfect. That's excellent. Okay, awesome. Are there any other solutions that marketplace sellers sort of need to know about that they can, use to their advantage, especially right now when, folks are at home researching and trying to figure out how they can, expand and grow in the upcoming months? Anything that they should know about?
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of interesting tools in the foreign exchange, the foreign currency space. Okay. So we work with a great partner, OFX. There are other really good partners out there, some large companies as well. And what's interesting is if you're sourcing overseas, sometimes it's easier to pay if your vendor is forcing you to pay in their currency, and you want to do that through your bank, you're going to pay exorbitant fees through your regular bank. Whereas if you use one of these foreign currency, they're also fintech companies. A lot of times the fees are way less. And then depending on the type of volume you use, there's all sorts of really interesting things you can do with like buying forward contracts. That way you can kind of hedge against, currency instability. And if you're using virtual assistants overseas, you can save money by making sure you're paying them in their currency. If you're living overseas but selling on Amazon.com, you can use these type of programs to receive the currency back in your local currency. So there's a lot of interesting stuff there. I think there's a lot of interesting products out now in the digital banking space. Also fintech. There's a really great digital bank we work with called Robank, it's an all online bank. They can basically create a bank account for you in less than like 15 minutes. Okay. And what's really interesting is for foreign nationals, all you would need is like a US LLC, and you could create a US bank account. That way, if you have vendors or customers or people you're working with that demand that you have a US bank account, it's an easier way to kind of create one, as well as not having to pay for the overhead of having a large branch. So they cut down a lot of fees. There's really great accounting software out there. I think if people are doing their accounting on Excel, maybe it's time to start looking at things like, QuickBooks is probably the standard bearer for small businesses under 10 million. But there's also other cool accounting out there. There's FreshBooks. There's Xero, there's companies like Wave, then there's all sorts of different like companies that basically do your managed accounting for you specifically for Amazon. ConnectBooks is one I'm thinking of. that we work with. So I think there's all sorts of different tools. I think that the high level takeaways would be know what your cash flow looks like, know what your income looks like, know what your expenses look like, know what the timing of that looks like so you can budget and forecast, and then see if there are different types of tools that can optimize what you're doing. Because I think one thing, we always look at expenses as a line item. I have my COGS, I have my FBA costs, I have my chargebacks, I have gift wrapping, I have all these things. And what we forget as small business owners is to think about our own time. And so what would your hourly rate be? Like, what would you be charging someone else to be doing what you're doing for them? And then making sure that if there are ways that you can offload the work you're doing to some type of service or to some type of, assistant or an automation or something, that's real money you're saving, because your time is the only thing you can't get back. And I think a lot of times as business owners, we forget that our time is probably the most valuable asset we have, and it's the most limited asset at the same time, and kind of putting that into the calculations as well.
That's a really great point, Alex. Absolutely, I agree there. And I think that that's why there are so many tools, and softwares and companies that are able to maximize that efficiency, right? Maximize your time and your energy, so you're not searching, looking, and going to the physically going to the bank and like spending time there is, to do your banking can also be very time consuming. And so I think that solutions that you just mentioned are really great for Amazon sellers who understand that they need to be nimble and versatile and flexible. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I just wanted to point out that we have a guest blog post from you guys that kind of highlight some of these that we'll attach, we'll link to this video for more details. And then I love the fact that you guys have, folks that are answering calls and talking to sellers. That human element is so important. We really value that. So I appreciate that. And, I encourage anyone who's sort of looking for these financial technology solutions, looking to borrow money, looking to get that advance, to contact you guys and see, what you guys offer to them. Thank you so much for chatting with me, Alex. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And just so everyone knows, we actually also have a promotion that if anyone comes over from listening to this, we're doing a $200 sign-on bonus when they use the link go.payability.com/sellermobile. And we'll make that available to you so you can make it available to everybody.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate it. You take care.
You as well.